You've talked about the IEA projections of going, China going from 7 gigatons to 12 gigatons of emissions by 2030. Yet also you've been quick to acknowledge, they have made some progress in recent years,
right,
in clean energy and energy efficiency. And in fact, they are on the brink of announcing a new package. Now, if these efforts show a significant decrease in business as usual scenario, especially with regards to IEA scenarios, is that something that the United States and the rest of the parties are willing to entertain as a commitment to a new architecture?
Yeah, in principle, yes. I mean, I think it would depend on what the overall suite of policies is. And look, what I've said, what we've said with respect to China and other major developing countries is that they need to take a set of real actions, that they need to be able to quantify them, that they need to commit to them in an international context, and that they need to add up to something that puts us on track to be in the general vicinity of what science tells us we need to do. So, the IEA projection is just a business as usual projection, not taking into account policy changes and policy measures that we hope the Chinese will do. They've already, as I said, they've done a lot, but they need to do a lot more. So if they do a bunch of things and it turns out to be a substantial move off of their business as usual curve, yeah, that could be quite important.
I'd say honing on that issue of actions that are quantifiable, measurable, reportable. Just leaving aside the whole emissions cuts, just even focusing just on the issue of transparent accounting,
yeah,
reporting and measuring.
Yes.
That's going to be a huge issue. It's not something that's been discussed too much. Is that something that when you visit China this week, you're going to push for and bring up to the discussion about how we can actually get to MRV?
Well, we're going to be talking about the kinds of things that China would be prepared to do, and the way in which those things might be quantified and sort of rolled up together, and that will absolutely be part of the discussion. I think that in effect, some of the elements of what you refer to as MRV, measuring, reporting, and verifying, will be part of the discussion. I don't think we're going to be having a kind of textual discussion at this point with the senior people that I'm going to be dealing with to actually kind of try to be drafting the text of what a quote MRV provision will look like in an overall agreement. But implicitly, that'll be an important part of the discussion because it's transparency and what the numbers add up to, whether it's the United States, China, Europe, Japan, or Brazil. It's highly important because it's the thing that tells us whether we're going to be on a track to do what we need to be doing over the next several decades.
And just as a final question, you talked about needing all hands on deck. We have about 6 months basically to Copenhagen. And right now it seems like most of the attention is just focused on U.S. and China. I know you talked about your efforts to reach out to some of the other major economies. Do you think that this current, focus on U.S. and China sort of steering things away from some of the other important aspects of climate change action, such as tropical deforestation or other issues?
Yeah, well, I would just take a little bit of issue with the question. I actually don't think that we have had overwhelming focus on China. I think China is undeniably a very important player here, but I've probably met at this point with 30 or 40 countries. We have established what we call a major economies forum for the 17 top economies that include developing and developed countries. I've spent a tremendous amount of time actually interacting with my counterparts from Europe, UK, France, Germany, Denmark, Italy, the overall EU. We are interacting with the Brazilians and the Indians and the Japanese and the Australians, and there's a broad range of interactions that we've been having. And in addition, when I was in Bonn, I made the initial presentation for the United States back at the end of March for the first negotiating session of what's called the Framework Convention, Conference of Parties. It's a long name. But I hosted a dinner for 15 of the most vulnerable and poorest countries who don't get heard enough and don't get enough representation in this process because we care about that, and we think what's called adaptation, the effort to help all countries, but particularly countries like that, deal with the effects of climate change, has got to be an important piece of this. And so this is not a China-centric approach. On the other hand, China is really important. So we try to balance it.